Now, there's been some sort of buzz about a potential alliance between former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and also Peter Obi, the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate, now for the 2027 elections. Now, according to reports, Atiku's camp has offered, of course, allegedly, Obi the vice presidential slot in a joint ticket with a twist. Atiku would serve only 1 4-year term, paving the way for Obi to take over. However, the Obidient Movement have debunked this. Well, at some point we'll be bringing on the program, but let's take a listen first to what Peter Obi had to say.
I'm in coalition against hunger, in coalition against poverty, in coalition against good health. Politics for me is not about position. It is about doing the right thing. Whatever you make of it, I can tell you, I, Peter, have told you where I stand. I just came back this morning. I didn't go talk about politics. I'm talking about the education of these children.
Well, at some point in the program, we'll bring in Dr. Moses Paul. He's a member of the Obidient Movement, who, of course, would give some sort of clarity to that. But joining the conversation right now is Dr. Peter Piper. He's a civil society activist and a public affairs analyst. Thank you for your time, Dr. Piper.
Thank you so very much for having me, Dapper. Nice to be here again.
Oh, nice to have you too, sir. So let's get straight into it. Now, looking ahead of 2027, we are beginning to see politicians, you know, will I call it meet, connect, permutate, and even talks about alliance and all of that, all ahead of 2027 general elections. I mean, what's your take around this wave of political permutations?
Well, thank you very much once more, Dapper. Well, you can see those talking about alliances. When people begin to say they want to make alliances, it's a clear indication that they are not strong enough. You know, if you are there, Dapper, and here I am, if I have to go into an alliance with a group of other people to come and fight you, it's a clear indication that you are stronger than me. You will recall some time ago in this program, I made it very clear that the trajectory that Peter Obi is following is going to lead into his own political isolation. And today we are seeing clearly that the favorite candidates, you know, for the people, the masses, 2023, who was the former Labour Party candidate, has eventually become a political destitute. And
well,
that is why
of course,
we hear
Dr.
this
Piper,
talk of a coalition.
Well, Dr. Piper, that of course, sorry to interrupt you, but that cannot be verified.
So,
that cannot be verified because some individuals would also tell you that, look, he's gathering, you know, momentum, you know, according to his own rights. But I'd like you to also speak particularly on the role of political parties in all of this, which has sort of given weight to these talks around alliance. It appears like largely many of these political parties seem to have some sort of internal crisis or the other. And some would even tell you that irrespective of whether it's the ruling political party or the opposition. Now, looking at all that is happening and then the cross-carpeting we are seeing, what do you think this will reflect, or does this in any way reflect of what we should expect or bigger picture ahead of 2027?
Dapper, what this simply means is the lack of an ideology. Every political party is supposed to be founded based on a specific ideology. But you see, some of these politicians are just interested in their own selfish ambition. So we're not seeing politics based on ideology. We're seeing strange bedfellows. We are seeing people who start their political career in one party and then they move to another party from that party to another party. So we do not have politicians with integrity, politicians whose ideology can be expressed through a specific political party. So they move from one political party to the other because their interest is all that they are after. They just want to occupy a governmental position and use it to enrich themselves and deceive the poor masses, as they have always done, by pretending every time there is an election, they pretend to be the savior. They tell you how good, how great they are. They tell you to go and verify their unverifiable claims, and all they want to achieve is just power. So in the next electioneering season, when a particular political party doesn't favor them, they start searching for alliances. What this simply means, Dapo, is that our politicians have no integrity. Politics is not based on ideology. It's only based on their personal, selfish interest. And this goes across board. I'm referring to all the politicians, especially those we see all moving towards the ruling All Progressive Congress, because they know that when they get to the ruling party, they will be sheltered. So that's why some are moving towards the ruling party. And those that are not moving towards the ruling party, that keeps clamoring for coalition, they are doing the same thing. They are all birds of a feather. There is no difference between these political prostitutes that are moving from one party to the other. It clearly shows a lack of a proper ideological base. Okay. That's my take on it.
All right. Maybe we should move to specifics when it comes to individuals. I mean, looking at the role of a person like the Vice President, the former Vice President of the nation, that's Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who is particularly talking about an alliance. And also, just recently too, the former governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, who seems to be critical and vocal against the ruling party. I mean, looking at the activities and the role now, particularly that of El-Rufai, do you think, or do you think all of this is in the interest of the collective good?
Therefore, these people, these politicians, are not into this for the good of the people. I think it's time Nigerians should get it right. Someone is telling you, I want to be your president. He's telling you, I want to preside over you. He's telling you, I want to rule over you. And if I can't get it through any other means, then I will go and make coalition with other people so I can get this power. When we talk about political parties, it's supposed to be based on ideology. There should be political parties that maybe are not even interested in the presidency. Maybe all they really want is local government election to better the life of people in the local, government. But we see we have these heavy, giant political monsters. I'm talking about people like Atiku Abubakar, people like El-Rufai, people like Peter Obi. These are the people I refer to as political monsters. And they believe that if they can form this political gangsterism and then color it, give it a coloration and call it a coalition, and then Nigerians will always be fooled, as we've always been fooled in the past, to believe that these men actually mean good. But I'm telling you that, they are all birds of the same feather. There is no difference between Atiku, Peter Obi, El-Rufai. If you've ever read Animal Farm by George Orwell, you will know this is that stage we are when we can no longer differentiate the pigs, from the humans. So these people always start by telling you that they are liberators, that they have come for the salvation of Nigerians, but the moment they get into power, nothing changes.
All right, Dr. Piper, we'll definitely dig deep, particularly when it comes to governance and maybe so far what you would consider the rating of the current administration. Do stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and of course we are still discussing what I call it politicking ahead of 2027 general elections. We are beginning to see politicians align, permutate, and of course getting ready ahead of the general elections. Well, joining this conversation right now is Dr. Moses Paul. He's a member of the Obidients Movement. He joins virtually from Abuja. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Zeppo. Thank you, sir.
All right. I still have, of course, on the conversation, Dr. Peter Piper, a civil society activist. He also joins virtually. Let's first get this off the way. This talks around the coalition between Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar. I mean, you are a very, very strong member of the Obidient Movement. Is there any substance to this?
Well, therefore, you know that coalition talk is an ongoing talk. And so as long as there are politics to be played, as long as we have a country to govern, as long as there are people and humanity exist, there will always be coalition of all kinds. And in the words of Mr. Peter Obi, he says he will continue to have coalition, for good governance, to ensure that Nigeria has security, to ensure that we pull children get children out of children that are out of school back to school, and whatever it would take, to get the country back on its feet. Those kind of coalitions, are things that is involved with. So yes, coalition talks is an ongoing talk, and we're very much involved. Mr. Peter Obi is very much involved with any coalition to move the nation forward.
All right, even if it means he running as vice president and not the president.
Well, you wanna play some politics here, Therefore, this regime have not even done 2 years in office. 29th of May will be 2 years. And already people are talking about 2027 in a country where people can barely eat. In a country where I come from, a region where over 500 people have been massacred in the most gruesome way and manner you could ever imagine. I have people that can barely eat in a day. We don't have electricity. And we're talking about elections and who to run as president and who not to run as president. I think as a country, we're very unserious people.
Sorry.
But that aside,
okay. I wanted to come in there, Dr. Paul.
I haven't seen any vice presidential candidate running from pillar to post and campaigning. Have you ever seen any? Please let me know.
No, that is why we are having this conversation, Dr. Paul Moses, just to clear the air. Because, that's the story out there. And so for clarity, for people who are passionate about the country and who are passionate about leadership, they would like, it's never too early to know exactly where, individuals do stand. But that aside, let's move to some of the issues that are pretty much prevalent in the country. We know that Peter Obi has been very vocal on social issues, on security, even on the standard of living, and he has not missed words to say a lot needs to be done. So I'd like you to speak on, how best you think issues like security, for instance, we are seeing the resurgence of bandits, and even the Boko Haram in parts of the north. What would you consider the missing gap over the years? How do you think these can be tackled?
This is very deep and very troubling. in a nation like Nigeria. You know, it is sad. I mean, for all my life, I'm way into my 40s. Before you know it, I'll be 50, so I'm not a young man at all. I remember very well clearly, I was 9 years old in Kaduna. We walked into church in Lemu Road. My pastor was hacked into death. If you, as old as I am, you remember what we call the metatine. This were in the 80s. And all through my life, I remember going to different countries across the world and helping people during the gruesome genocide in Rwanda. I played a critical part. I never thought that one day in our nation, people will be killed in their hundreds and thousands, and yet we are still talking about what strategies to combating killing people removing people who are killers and murderers. Our bushes are occupied by bandits and terrorists, and we're sitting on TV stations and talking about what modalities, and we're not just serious. We do not have a government in that context. This is why we will sit on TV to be talking about this. On 2 occasions, therefore, I wouldn't ever believe that I'll be saying this on TV. I have gone myself to rescue people who have been kidnapped. Family and friends and people that I know. This is how bad our country has become. What would it take? Nigeria delivered Sierra Leone. We delivered Liberia. We sent people, across West Africa. This is the Nigeria that I know. And so to sit here and talk about whatever strategy or what can be done, that simply means we do not have a government. We do not have leaders in this country. I know what can be done if we have the right leadership in place. So it will make no difference. It is actually a spit. We're spitting on the face of the deaths of people who have been gruesomely killed and are suffering every day when we sit on national television to discuss about security. Because guess what? In the words of Abacha, if these kinds of things continue more than 48 hours, he said then it means that the government is compromised. Therefore, this is human life, and I can't sit here, even though I understand what should be done in terms of strategy. But guess what? Nigeria is way past that. We can, if we have the willpower, the issues of insecurity can be a thing of the past in 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay, maybe I should direct the same question, because that also is a front burner issue to Dr. Peter Piper, the issue of insecurity. Even yesterday on this program, we discussed it, and we had someone from the cabinet of a state governor to speak on that matter too. And that's to tell you how pivotal this issue is. Security of life and property is the primary responsibility of any government. So I'm going to throw it to you, Dr. Piper. Where have we been getting it wrong? We are getting reports now that even the Boko Harams and terrorist groups are beginning to get advanced. They are not just coming back, but they seem to be coming back, harder and maybe stronger. So what would you consider that missing gap? We know, yes, there's a leadership problem, but in what context?
All right, yeah, Dabo, I'll just go straight to the point. When politicians begin to speak, they have a way of making you see the problem. And the moment a politician explains or paints a beautiful picture of your problem, the politician tells you he is the solution to that problem. So Nigeria has had this insecurity for as long as we can remember, So the insecurity issue was there during the time of the military. It was there during the time of Obasanjo. It was there in Yaradua. It was there in Goodluck Jonathan. It was there throughout the time of Buhari. It is there right now in the regime of Bola Ahmed Asiwaju. So it is a systemic failure of the Nigerian state. When we try to politicize these kind of things, to say, well, these problems will disappear if only you get one particular candidate and you put that person in Aso Rock and boom, all our problems will vanish. There will be no more insecurity. There will be no more food shortages. Nigeria will just move overnight, flip from consumption to production. You know, when politicians begin to tell you all of these things, I need you to be wary. You know, the problems we have are institutional. And some of these problems have been weaponized against the Nigerian people. Poverty has been weaponized. Religion has been weaponized. Of course, politics have always been weaponized against the people, you know, and this is what we are observing. But what I want the viewers of this program to realize and fully recognize is, yes, we have all these problems, but please be wary when a politician begins to tell you that he has the magic wand and that he is the definitive solution to these problems. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Piper, thank you so much. Let's go back to election matters right now. Over the years, Nigeria has had elections back and forth, and there are always challenges. There are always challenges, from security to infrastructure to deficits and all of that. And another challenge also happens to be voter apathy. I'm coming back to you now, Dr. Moses Paul. The House is pushing for mandatory voting with the hope to shore up civic participation. They're even saying that, you know what, if you don't vote, it becomes a criminal offense. What do you make of this?
You know, it's crazy that the House is asking for mandatory voting. I mean, that would be nice if we can have mandatory, how do I put it now? Can we have mandatory policies across board? Because there are glitches with JAM, there are glitches with INEC, there are glitches with security, and even with the padding of budgets. People are cross-carpeting from one political parties to the other in a country where the rules, the regulations, the constitutional mandate concerning cross-carpeting is clear. So I don't know to what end. Are we just playing and painting pictures to the gallery, or we truly want to institutionalize change in our country? I'm still, you know, I'm stuttering because I'm trying to understand exactly what that is even supposed to mean. You know, I returned back from Indonesia just a few weeks ago, and I interacted with their INEC chairman, Mr. Bernard, and I asked him that, how come you have over 200,000,004 registered voters, and at the last election there are at least over 81% participation, meaning that there are over 150 million people who turned out to actively, you know, cast their votes. Here in Nigeria, at the last election and at the last check, we have over 94 million registered voters, and we have less than 25% in terms of participation. And by the time we were done engaging, you could see that the people were not forced. It has to do with the communal and the people-centered policies that were activated. And I, you know, engaging with the different ministries and how they carry out their policies, you could see that it's, when you deal with people as human beings, you know, they would reciprocate and respond. But where you have a country where the people making the laws live above the law, that's where we have the issues. It is not about making laws and enforcing it.
All right, I'm also going to ask Dr. Piper, I mean, your reaction to this, even though we know it's still in the works, that's the issue of mandatory voting. Do you think that that would shore up? Okay, I understand that, Dr. Piper, we lost connection with him there, but let me stay with you. Dr. Moses Paul. I mean, I'm tempted to ask, because there are a plethora of issues right now within the country. This current administration, Nigerians definitely, just like every other administration, there are reservations, there's talks around the cost of living. We know what it is in the market. Standard of living has really dropped and all of that. And but I want to ask you directly. I know you are a cabinet member of the Obidient Movement, and you're very much in the know. Just for the sake of our viewers out there, there are indications or indicators that Peter Obi might run or will run for the top job in the country. But there are also questions as to, does he really have the capacity to solve all the country's problems?
No single individual has the capacity to solve all the country's problems. However, a single individual can make all the difference for a country. We have seen it world over. You know, whatever country you mention, when you go back and look at their leaders, their founding leaders, or even their modern founders, there are always leaders who can make a difference. And for a country like Nigeria, if you know Nigeria like I do, you know that one person can make a very big difference. Mr. Peter Obi has shown himself, even as a private citizen, as chairman of banks, as a governor, you know, the achievements and the legacies, they are endless. Whether from saving funds or from championing and moving the education from 26 to number 1, or the different debt management and the profile that he uplifted, being the number 1 in the MDG goals. I can go on and on. These are milestones. These are not just stuff for propaganda. These are records that are there. And so, yes, one individual will not make all the difference, but an individual can lift, can make a shift that can galvanize a country into the right direction for which it could be. And in every indication, we have seen that in the person of Mr. Peter Obi, because I know what and where people are driving this narrative to. But this is the truth, and this is the reality. And so, yes, an individual can make all the difference.
All right, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you. Dr. Moses Paul is a member of the Obidient Movement, joining virtually from Abuja. Earlier, we also had Dr. Peter Piper, a civil society activist and public affairs analyst. Thank you once again for your time. It's been a pleasure.